Welcome to Daily Gossip. You will get daily Hollywood and political updates here. Remember to subscribe for the latest videos. Today, we're diving into the fascinating life of Vice President J.D. Vance, not through the lens of his policies or political debates, but through the homes he's called his own, each one telling a unique story of ambition, transformation, and the American dream. From a crumbling steel town in Ohio to the stately halls of the Vice President's residence in Washington, D.C., J.D. Vance's life has been nothing short of remarkable. And if walls could talk, the homes he's lived in would whisper tales of struggle, success, and seismic change. These aren't just properties. They're chapters of a deeply American journey. His story begins not in a mansion or a gated community, but in a modest, unassuming house in Middletown, Ohio. That house on McKinley Street, with its fading blue paint and worn-down porch, was the epicenter of his tumultuous upbringing, a place where poverty, addiction, and instability were part of everyday life. But it was also the place where resilience was born, raised by his beloved grandmother, Mama, in a household often ruled by chaos. Young J.D. learned early that survival required grit, smarts, and an unshakable belief in the possibility of a better future. That same house in Middletown, now renovated and valued at just over $220,000, stands as a quiet symbol of where it all began. The 2,000-square-foot home, with its simple structure and no-frills layout, once echoed with arguments, laughter, broken dreams, and desperate hope. In his memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, Vance recounts nights spent curled up in bed, wondering if his mom would come home sober or not at all. Yet even amidst the chaos, there was love. The kind of hard, uncompromising love that Mama gave, discipline with a side of bourbon, and a heart full of ferocity. That house is where Vance first dreamed of escape, where he looked out the window and knew somehow that life could be different. That dream took him far, first to the Marines, then to Yale Law School, and eventually to the highest echelons of American politics. As his career rose, so did the quality and symbolism of the properties he acquired. In 2018, J.D. and his wife, Usha, made a statement, both personal and public, by purchasing a grand historic home in Cincinnati's East Walnut Hills neighborhood. This wasn't just an upgrade. It was a testament to how far he'd come. The 5-bedroom home, perched on a 2.29-acre bluff overlooking the Ohio River, was purchased for just under $1.4 million, with over 6,000 square feet of space, hardwood, floors, grand staircases, and the kind of craftsmanship you only find in pre-war mansions. The house radiates quiet dignity and understated power. But this neighborhood wasn't just posh. It was politically progressive, a curious choice for someone whose political trajectory veered sharply right. It raised eyebrows. Was this a political move, a lifestyle statement, or perhaps a quiet defiance? A signal that he wouldn't be boxed into expectations. Behind the iron gates and ivy-covered stonework, the Vances were building a home, not just a house. With 3 young children and 2 high-powered careers, the East Walnut Hills property became their sanctuary. Usha, a Yale-educated attorney, and J.D., by then a best-selling author and Senate hopeful, balanced family life with public scrutiny. Their Cincinnati mansion wasn't just a private retreat. It was a place for strategy, for late-night debates about legislation, and for instilling values in their kids. The couple's choice of neighborhood and home sparked conversation. Some praised the Vances for bridging worlds, elite and working class, left and right, old Cincinnati and new Ohio. Others criticized them for what they saw as performative populism. But no one could deny this. The house was elegant, stately, and quintessentially American in its symbolism. But J.D. Vance's real estate journey didn't stop there. Long before he became vice president, Vance was already planting roots in the nation's capital. In 2014, years before his political ambitions became clear, he purchased a modest but charming white brick row house in Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. for $590,000. Just a mile from the U.S. Capitol, the 3-bedroom townhouse with its brick, facade and colonial touches served as a home base while he navigated policy circles and media appearances. The neighborhood, known for its proximity to power and a touch of old-world charm, reflected a different side of J.D. Vance, one that was comfortable maneuvering through elite spaces, yet never quite belonging to them. In many ways, this D.C. property symbolized Vance's political tightrope. Part insider, part outsider. Interestingly, Vance didn't live in the house full-time. As his profile grew, he often rented it out. And even that decision said something. Tenants described the Vances as responsive landlords, engaged and considerate, a stark contrast to the often distant, absentee landlords that plagued Capitol Hill. It was a quiet reputation-building exercise, and one that mirrored his political branding: tough but fair, different but approachable. Then came Alexandria, Virginia. In February 2023, the Vance family made another bold move, purchasing a 100-year-old farmhouse in the heart of Alexandria's Delray neighborhood for $1.64 million. This wasn't just another upgrade. It was a lifestyle shift. The 5-bedroom property was dripping with character. Think wide plank hardwood floors, wood-burning fireplaces, exposed beams, and a wraparound porch that looked like it belonged in a Nancy Meyers film. The backyard was meticulously hardscaped and even included an accessory dwelling unit, a nod to the couple's growing family and possibly long-term family care plans. Delray is a fascinating neighborhood, quirky, artsy, politically liberal, and deeply community-oriented. It stood in contrast to Vance's public persona as a right-wing populist. Once again, the choice raised eyebrows. But perhaps this was the most honest version of the Vances. Ambitious, yet grounded. Driven, yet deliberate. Choosing homes not for optics, but for the values they want their children to absorb. Their time in Alexandria was short-lived, however. In January 2025, following his historic election as Vice President of the United States, Vance and his family moved into the official residence at No. 1 Observatory Circle. This Queen Anne-style mansion, located on the grounds of the U.S. Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C., has housed every vice president since Walter Mondale. It's not just a house, it's a piece of history. Built in 1893, the 3-story, 9,150-square-foot home boasts 33 rooms, grand staircases, chandeliers, and diplomatic formality at every corner. And for a kid from Middletown who once dodged broken glass in his living room, it was almost unfathomable. No. 1 Observatory Circle became the latest chapter in the Vance story, a story still unfolding. It's where their children now sleep in rooms once occupied by the kids of Mike Pence, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden. It's where Vance hosts dignitaries, debates policies, and shapes the direction of a nation. And while it's a government-owned residence, the symbolism is deeply personal. Interestingly, when they moved into the vice presidential residence, the Vances put their beloved Alexandria home on the market, and it sold almost instantly. Listed for $1.69 million, it sold just 18 days later for $1.87 million, well above asking price. It wasn't just a hot market, it was a signal. People wanted a piece of the Vance legacy. even if just in the form of floorboards and garden paths. The sale closed a chapter, but it also validated their choices. Every house they'd owned told a story of upward mobility, thoughtful decisions, and strategic positioning. But beyond politics, beyond optics, these homes revealed something more, human. They told the story of a man who never forgot where he came from, a man who, despite his meteoric rise, still kept a foothold in Ohio. Even now, the Vances still own their Cincinnati property, making it clear that for all the national attention, their roots remain firmly in the Buckeye State, the homes of J.D. Vance aren't just real estate. They're artifacts of ambition, love, strategy, and contradictions. From the modest house on McKinley Street, where dreams were forged in the crucible of poverty, to the manicured lawns of the Vice Presidential Mansion, every step of the journey has been mapped in bricks and mortar. Critics may question his choices. Why live in liberal neighborhoods? Why project populism while owning million-dollar homes? But perhaps that's missing the point. J.D. Vance, like the properties he's chosen, is not easily categorized. His homes reflect his complexity: blue-collar and Ivy League, underdog and insider, provocateur and family man. As he continues to shape national policy and write his political legacy, one thing remains certain. Wherever J.D. Vance lays his head, it won't just be a home, it'll be a statement, a marker of where he's been, what he's overcome, and where he's going. And in a world that often values appearances over substance, his homes, like his story, offer a rare glimpse into the real person behind the political image. From peeling paint in Middletown to polished oak in the Naval Observatory, his journey is the American dream, remodeled, repainted, and still under construction. Thanks for watching Daily Gossip. If you enjoyed this deep dive into J.D. Vance's incredible real estate journey, give us a like, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal the people behind the power. Stay tuned. We've got more political, Hollywood, and cultural revelations coming your way. Until next time, keep dreaming big and watching closely.